The great hall of Nexus Prime was silent. 12 beings sat in a circle, each one representing a species that had ruled the stars for thousands of years. They were the Galaxy Council, and their word was law. No one had ever challenged them. No one had ever dared. High Arbiter Ven stood at the center of the circle. He was tall and thin, with gray skin that seemed to glow under the lights. His eyes were completely black, and when he spoke, his voice echoed through the chamber like thunder. "Show them," he commanded. A hologram appeared in the air. It showed a planet burning. Ships were falling from the sky like dead birds. Bodies floated in the darkness of space. The council members watched in silence as city after city was destroyed. "This is what the humans have done," Ven said. "In 18 months, they have killed more than we have seen die in 300 years. They do not stop. They do not negotiate. They do not show mercy." Counselor Myra leaned forward. She was smaller than the others, with blue skin and 4 arms. The Vorn attacked them first. They raided human colonies. They killed civilians. "It does not matter," Ven replied. "War is supposed to end. That is the law. 30 solar cycles, and then we intervene. The humans have ignored every warning we sent." Ambassador Cole sat quietly in his chair. He had spent 5 years living among humans, studying them. He knew things about them that the others did not. He knew that they were different from every other species in the galaxy. But he also knew that the council would not listen. "Send the order," Ven commanded. "Tell the humans to stop fighting. If they refuse, we will make them stop." The message was sent across the stars at the speed of light. It reached Earth in 3 hours. It reached the human fleet in 4. Admiral Taik Wu was standing on the bridge of his flagship, the Iron Will, when the message arrived. He was a man in his 60s, with gray hair and a face full of scars. He had been fighting wars since he was 18 years old. He had never lost. "Sir," said Lieutenant Binho, a young officer with sharp eyes, "we have received a transmission from the Galaxy Council." Taik Wu nodded. "Read it." Binho cleared his throat. "By order of the Galaxy Council, all human military forces will cease hostilities immediately. You have violated the laws of civilized warfare. Failure to comply will result in sanctions, blockades, and forcible disarmament. You have 30 solar cycles to respond." The bridge was quiet. Everyone was looking at the Admiral. Wu said nothing for a long moment. Then he laughed. It was a low, quiet laugh, but it spread through the bridge like fire. Soon, everyone was laughing. Captain Hannah Seok was the first to speak. She was young for a captain, only 32, but she had already destroyed more enemy ships than anyone in the fleet. "They want us to stop? Now? After everything the Vorn did?" "It seems that way," Taik Wu said. "What are we going to tell them?" Taik Wu smiled. It was not a kind smile. "Send a message to General Daeyun. Tell him the council has made their demand. Ask him what he wants to say." On Earth, General Daeyun received the message in his office. He was the head of United Earth Defense Command, and he had the authority to speak for all of humanity. He read the council's demand 3 times. Then he called his staff together. "They want us to surrender," he said. "They want us to forgive the Vorn for killing 12 million of our people. They want us to pretend it never happened." His staff said nothing. They knew the general well enough to know that he was not asking for advice day. Jan walked to the window and looked out at the city below. Seoul had been rebuilt after the Vorn attack, but the scars were still visible. Entire neighborhoods were still empty. Memorials stood on every corner. "Write this down," he said. "Our response to the Galaxy Council will be for words." His aide picked up a pen. Daeyun spoke slowly. "Come and stop us," the message was sent. It reached Nexus Prime in 3 hours. High Arbiter Ven read it in front of the entire council. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Warlord Rax, the commander of the Vorn Collective, slammed his fist on the table. "They dare to mock us," he roared. "These primitives? These children?" "They are not children," Ambassador Cole said quietly. "I have lived among them. I have seen what they are capable of. They have been in space for less than a century," Rax said. "We have ruled the stars for 10,000 years. They are nothing." Cole shook his head. They have been in space for a century, but they have been fighting wars for 10,000 years. War is not new to them. It is in their blood. It is in their bones. It is the only thing they truly understand. Ben raised his hand for silence. It does not matter what they understand. They have defied the council. They must be punished. He turned to face the holographic display. With a wave of his hand, he brought up a map of human space. It was small compared to the rest of the galaxy. Just a few hundred systems. A few billion people. Send the peacekeeping armada, Ven ordered. 600 ships. Block their solar system. Destroy any ship that tries to leave. In 30 cycles, they will beg us for mercy. The council voted. 11 in favor. 1 against. Councillor Myra's objection was noted and ignored, far away. On the bridge of the Iron Will, Admiral Taikwu received word of the approaching fleet. He studied the tactical data on his screen. 600 ships. Heavy cruisers, destroyers, carriers. They are sending their peacekeepers, he said. They think we will be afraid. Captain Hannah Seok stood beside him. Are we? Taikwu looked at her. His eyes were calm. Captain, I have been fighting since before you were born. I have seen friends die. I have buried my own soldiers. Fear is an old friend to me. He turned back to the screen. But I have never let it stop me. And I am not going to start now. He pressed a button on his console. His voice echoed through every ship in the fleet. All hands, this is Admiral Taikwu. The Galaxy Council has ordered us to stop fighting. They are sending 600 ships to make us obey. I want everyone to know something. He paused. We are not going to obey. We are going to show them what happens when you threaten humanity. Prepare for battle. Across the fleet, men and women checked their weapons, sealed their suits, and said goodbye to the ones they loved. The war was about to begin in earnest. The Council Armada moved through space like a cloud of metal and fire. 600 ships, each one larger than anything humanity had ever built. They were painted white, the color of peace, but their weapons were ready. They had come to teach the humans a lesson, on Nexus Prime. High Arbiter Ven watched the fleet's progress on a holographic display. He was confident. He had seen this happen before. Young species always thought they were special. They always thought they could fight the Council and win. They were always wrong. The humans will surrender within a week, he said to Ambassador Cole. They have no choice. Cole did not answer. He was thinking about his time on Earth, about the things he had seen. He remembered visiting a museum dedicated to human wars. It had taken him 3 days to walk through it. 3 days of weapons and battles and death, stretching back thousands of years. Humans had been killing each other long before they ever looked at the stars. You are quiet, Ven said. Do you disagree with our decision? I think, Cole said slowly, that you do not understand what you are dealing with. The humans are not like the other species we have encountered. They do not fight because they want to. They fight because they cannot stop. It is their nature. Ven waved his hand. Nature can be changed. A few destroyed ships, a few dead soldiers, and they will learn to be peaceful. Cole wanted to argue, but he knew it would do no good. The Council had made its decision. Now they would have to live with the consequences. On Earth, General Dae-Yoon stood before the United Nations. The Great Hall was full of representatives from every nation on the planet. They had come to hear what their leader would say. They had come to find out if humanity would fight or surrender. Dae-Yoon stepped up to the podium. He was wearing his military uniform, decorated with medals from a dozen campaigns. His face was hard, his eyes cold. 3 years ago, he began, the Vorn came to our colony on New Sol. They did not come to talk. They did not come to trade. They came to kill. The hall was silent. 12 million people died that day. Men, women, children, families who had done nothing wrong except exist. The Vorn burned them alive and laughed while they screamed. He paused, letting the words sink in. We asked the Galaxy Council for help. We begged them to punish the Vorn. Do you know what they said? No one answered. They said it was a minor incident. They said we should forgive and move on. They said that war was against their laws, and we should accept our losses with grace. His voice grew harder. I do not know what grace means to them, but I know what it means to us. It means bowing our heads. It means accepting that our people died for nothing. It means letting monsters walk free while we bury our dead. He slammed his fist on the podium. I will not let 12 million souls be forgotten. I will not let the Vorn escape justice. And I will not let the Council tell us when we can and cannot defend ourselves. The hall erupted in applause. Representatives stood and cheered. For the first time in human history, every nation was united in a single purpose. They are sending 600 ships to stop us, Dae-Yun continued. They think that will be enough. They think we will be afraid. They think we will kneel. He smiled, and it was not a kind smile. Let them come. Let them see what humanity is made of. Let them learn the lesson that every enemy of mankind has learned throughout history. He raised his fist in the air. We do not kneel. We do not surrender. We do not forgive. And we never, ever forget. The speech was broadcast across every human colony. Billions of people heard it, and billions of people responded. On Mars, factories that had been building civilian ships switched to military production. Within a week, they were producing weapons and armor around the clock. On Luna, recruitment centers opened their doors and found lines stretching for miles. Young men and women who had never held a gun in their lives signed up to fight. On distant colonies, miners and farmers left their work and volunteered for the fleet. They did not ask for pay. They did not ask for glory. They simply wanted to defend their home. Dr. Nari Sung worked in a laboratory, deep beneath the surface of Earth. She was the brightest scientist humanity had ever produced, and she had spent the last year developing weapons that the galaxy had never seen. The plasma core missiles are ready, she told Admiral Taikwu over a secure channel. They can punch through Council shielding like paper. I have also completed the singularity torpedoes. They create miniature black holes that will collapse enemy ships from the inside. Taikwu studied the specifications on his screen. How many do we have? 5,000 missiles. 200 torpedoes. We are producing more every day. Good, we are going to need them. On the bridge of the Iron Will, Captain Hannah Seok was running combat simulations with Lieutenant Binho. They had studied the Council ships carefully. They knew every strength and every weakness. Their shields are powerful, Binho said, but they recharge slowly. If we hit them with multiple attacks in quick succession, we can overload their systems. Hannah Seok nodded. What about their weapons? Long range but slow. They are designed for peacekeeping, not real combat. They expect their enemies to run away, not fight back. She smiled. Then they are in for a surprise. Admiral Taikwu entered the bridge. He looked at his officers, his crew, his family. They had fought together for years. They had bled together. They had buried friends together. And now they would face the greatest challenge of their lives together. The Council fleet will arrive in 3 days, he said. They expect us to be afraid. They expect us to surrender. They are wrong. He walked to the center of the bridge. I will not lie to you. This will be hard. We will lose ships. We will lose friends. Some of us will not survive, but I promise you this. We will not lose this war. We will not let them take our freedom. We will fight until our last breath, and we will make them regret the day they ever threatened humanity. He raised his voice. For Earth, for our families, for everyone we have lost. The crew answered with a single voice. For Earth? Far away, the Council fleet moved closer. They had no idea what was waiting for them. They thought they were coming to end a war. They were wrong. They were coming to start one. The Council Armada arrived at the edge of the Sol system on a Tuesday morning. 600 ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel and formed a perfect wall of metal and weapons. They were beautiful in a terrible way. Like a storm made of steel, Fleet Commander Torvex stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Judgment. He was an old soldier who had served the Council for 200 years. He had crushed rebellions on a dozen worlds. He had never failed. Scan the system, he ordered. Find their fleet. His sensors officer worked quickly. Sir, I am detecting minimal activity. A few patrol ships near their inner planets. Nothing significant. Torvek smiled. They are hiding. They know they cannot win. Should we advance, sir? Yes. Move the fleet to the asteroid belt. We will establish a blockade there. No human ship enters or leaves this system without our permission. The Armada moved forward. They were confident. They were powerful. They were completely unprepared for what was waiting. Hidden among the asteroids, Captain Hannah Seoke watched the enemy fleet approach. She was aboard the Eternal Dawn, a strike carrier painted black to blend with the darkness of space. Around her, 40 more carriers waited in silence. They had been hiding for 3 days, their engines cold, their weapons ready. Steady, she whispered to her crew. Wait for my signal. The Council ships entered the asteroid belt. They moved slowly, scanning for threats. But their sensors were designed to find ships that were running, not ships that were hiding. They passed within 1,000 kilometers of the human fleet and saw nothing. Admiral Taik Wu's voice crackled over the secure channel. All ships, this is Iron Will. Target the enemy rear. We want them trapped in the belt with no way out. Fire on my command. Hannah Seoke gripped the arms of her chair. Her heart was pounding. This was the moment that would decide everything. Now, Taik Wu said, 41 carriers powered up at once. Thousands of missiles, launched from their tubes, streaking through space like angry stars. The plasma core warheads hit the Council ships before they could raise their shields. The first explosion was beautiful. The second was terrifying. By the third, the Council fleet was in chaos. What is happening? Torvek screamed. Where did they come from? Unknown, sir. They were hiding in the asteroids. Our sensors did not detect them. Return fire. Destroy them. The Council ships tried to fight back, but they were designed for peacekeeping, not war. Their weapons were slow. Their tactics were outdated. They had never faced an enemy that actually wanted to kill them. Lieutenant Bin Ho sat at his console on the Iron Will, feeding targeting data to the entire fleet. He had studied the Council ships for months. He knew exactly where to hit them. Target their shield generators, he said. Upper hull, Section 7. One good hit, and their shields will fail completely. The human ships adjusted their fire. Missiles found their targets with perfect accuracy. One by one, the Council ships lost their shields. Then they lost everything else. Dr. Nari Sung watched the battle from Earth, her face glowing in the light of her monitors. Her weapons worked exactly as she had designed them. The plasma core missiles burned through enemy armor like fire through paper. The singularity torpedoes created small black holes that crushed ships from the inside out. They are running, one of her assistants said. The Council fleet is retreating. Narisong nodded. Good. Let them run. Let them tell the others what happened here. In the asteroid belt, Commander Torvek stared at his tactical display in horror. 112 of his ships were gone. Destroyed in less than 6 hours by an enemy he had been told was primitive and weak. All ships retreat, he ordered. Fall back to the jump point. The surviving Council ships ran. They pushed their engines to maximum speed, desperate to escape the killing zone. The human fleet followed them, picking off stragglers with precise, merciless fire. Captain Hannah Seoke led the pursuit. Her ship danced through the asteroid field, weaving between rocks as she chased a damaged cruiser. Her weapons officer was ready. Fire, she said. The cruiser exploded. Hannah Seoke did not celebrate. She simply turned her ship toward the next target. When the battle was over, Admiral Taik Wu ordered his fleet to hold position. The enemy was gone. The Sol system was safe, but the cost had been real. Casualty report, he said quietly. His first officer checked the data. 11 ships lost, sir. 2,300 personnel killed. Taik Wu closed his eyes. He had known those people. He had trained with some of them. Now they were gone, their bodies drifting in the cold darkness of space. Have the recovery teams collect our dead, he said. Every single one. No one gets left behind. On Nexus Prime, High Arbiter Ven received the news in silence. His face was gray. His hands were shaking. 112 ships lost. Thousands of soldiers dead. Against an enemy that was supposed to be primitive. "This is impossible," he whispered. "How did this happen?" Ambassador Cole stepped forward. "I tried to warn you. The humans are not like other species. They do not fight for resources or territory. They fight because it is who they are. War is their heritage. Violence is their history. Then what do? You have two choices. You can admit that you were wrong and negotiate peace. Or you can send more ships and lose more soldiers." Warlord Rax slammed his fist on the table. "We cannot surrender to these primitives. It would make us look weak." "You already look weak," Cole said. 112 ships destroyed by 40 carriers. The entire galaxy is watching. They have seen what the humans can do. Ven raised his hand for silence. He was quiet for a long moment, thinking. Then he spoke. "Send the message. Tell every council species to prepare their fleets. We are not sending peacekeepers this time. We are sending everything we have." He looked at the holographic display, at the small section of the galaxy marked as human space. "They want war? We will give them war. And when we are finished, there will be no humans left to remember it." Far away, Admiral Taikwu received word of the Council's decision. He studied the report carefully. 2,000 ships. Every species in the Council united against humanity. Captain Hannah Suok stood beside him. "That is a lot of ships, Admiral." Taikwu nodded. "Yes, it is. What are we going to do?" He looked at her. His eyes were calm. There was no fear in them, only determination. "We are going to send a message to the Council. Tell them this. That was our reserves. Our main fleet has not even left dock. If they want to fight, we will be ready." He turned back to the viewport. "And we will show them what happens when you corner a species that has been fighting for 10,000 years." The first battle was over. The real war was about to begin. The Kepler expanse was empty. It was a region of space far from any star, any planet, any sign of life. It was the perfect place for a battle that would decide the fate of the galaxy. 2,000 council ships gathered on one side. They were the largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history. Every species had sent their best ships, their best soldiers, their best weapons. They had come to destroy humanity once and for all. On the other side, 1,600 human ships waited. They were smaller than the enemy vessels. They were fewer in number, but they carried something that the Council did not understand. They carried the weight of 10,000 years of war. They carried the memories of every human who had ever fought and died for their people. Admiral Taikwu stood on the bridge of the Iron Will. His officers were at their stations. His crew was ready. This was the moment he had been preparing for his entire life. "All ships, this is Admiral Taikwu," he said, his voice broadcast across the fleet. "Today, we face the largest enemy force in the history of the galaxy. They have come to destroy us. They have come to end humanity. They believe that numbers will win this battle." He paused. "They are wrong. We have something they will never understand. We have each other. We have our families back home. We have the memory of everyone the Vorn killed. And we have the fire that has burned in human hearts since the first of our ancestors picked up a rock and decided to fight." He raised his fist. "Today, we show the galaxy what humanity is made of. Today, we fight for everyone we have lost. Today, we make them remember our names for the next 10,000 years. All ships, battle stations, prepared to engage." Across the fleet, men and women checked their weapons one last time. Some of them prayed. Some of them wrote final letters to their families. Some of them simply sat in silence, thinking about the people they loved. Captain Hannah Siok led the vanguard. Her strike force of 100 carriers formed the tip of the spear. They would hit the enemy first, break their formation, and create chaos. "All pilots, follow my lead," she said. "Stay close, hit hard, and do not stop until they are running. Today, we write history. Lieutenant Binho sat at his console on the iron wheel. He was the youngest officer in the fleet, but he was also the smartest. His job was to coordinate the entire battle, to find weaknesses in the enemy formation, to guide every missile and every torpedo to its target. "Enemy fleet is advancing," he reported. "They are using a standard wall formation. No creativity. They expect us to fight the same way." "Then let us surprise them," Taikwu said. "Signal Captain Siok. Begin the attack." The human fleet surged forward. They did not form neat lines like the Council ships. They moved like a swarm, spreading out across space, making themselves impossible to target. It was chaos, but it was controlled chaos. It was the way humans had always fought. The first missiles hit the Council formation like a hammer. Plasma core warheads burned through shields and armor. Singularity torpedoes created black holes that swallowed entire ships. The Council fleet, which had never faced a real enemy, was suddenly drowning in fire. Turn fire. Warlord Rax screamed from his flagship, "Destroy them." The Council ships launched thousands of weapons at once. The sky lit up with explosions. Human ships died by the dozen, torn apart by enemy fire. But for every human ship that fell, 2 more took its place. Captain Hannah Siok flew through the heart of the battle. Her ship dodged and weaved, avoiding enemy fire while her weapons tore through one target after another. She was a dancer in a storm of death, and she was beautiful. "Target that destroyer," she ordered. "Take out its engines," her weapons officer fired. The destroyer lost power and drifted, helpless. Another human ship finished it off seconds later. The battle raged for hours, then for days. Neither side would give up. Neither side would retreat. They fought with everything they had, pouring fire into each other until the Kepler expanse was filled with the wreckage of 1,000 ships. On the second day, Lieutenant Binho found a weakness in the enemy formation. "Admiral, their flagship is exposed. If we concentrate fire on that sector, we can take it out." Taikwu studied the tactical display. It was a risk. They would have to pull ships from other areas, leaving themselves vulnerable. But if they could destroy the flagship, the enemy command structure would collapse. "Do it," he said. "All available ships, focus fire on the enemy flagship." 200 human ships turned their weapons on Warlord Rax's vessel. The barrage was overwhelming. Shields failed. Armor melted. In seconds, the flagship was crippled, drifting in space like a wounded animal. "Boarding teams, launch," Taikwu ordered. "Capture Warlord Rax alive. I want him to face justice for what he did to our people." The boarding teams fought their way through the ship. They met fierce resistance. But they were humans, and they had been fighting in close quarters for 10,000 years. Room by room, deck by deck, they pushed forward until they found Rax hiding in his command center. "You are coming with us," the team leader said, pointing his weapon at the warlord's head. Rax snarled, "You cannot do this. I am a member of the Council. I have protection. The Council cannot help you now. You killed 12 million of our people. Now you answer to us." They dragged him away in chains. On the third day, the tide turned. The Council fleet, without its leader, began to fall apart. Ships that had never fought together started making mistakes. They crashed into each other. They fired on their own allies. Panic spread through their ranks like a disease. "They are running," Captain Hannah Siok reported. "The enemy is in full retreat." But the victory came at a terrible cost. Lieutenant Binho's ship was hit on the second day. He stayed at his post, transmitting targeting data even as fire spread through his vessel. His last words were coordinates for an enemy carrier. The carrier was destroyed seconds later. Binho was 26 years old. "Admiral." Taikwu received the casualty reports in silence. 800 human ships lost. 30,000 personnel dead. Names he knew. Faces he remembered. Friends he would never see again. "Sir," his first officer said softly, "we won." Taikwu looked at the wreckage floating in space. Human and alien debris spinning together in the endless darkness. "Yes," he said, "we won." But there was no joy in his voice, only exhaustion and grief. and the weight of all the people who would never go home. On Nexus Prime, High Arbiter Ven received the news. The greatest fleet in galactic history had been defeated. 1,200 ships destroyed. Warlord Rax captured. The humans were still standing. What have we done? He whispered. Counselor Mira stepped forward. We underestimated them. We treated them like children, and they showed us what they really are. What do we do now? Myra looked at him with cold eyes. Now you go to them. You beg for peace, and you pray that they are more merciful than we were. Ven nodded slowly. He had no other choice. The war was over. The humans had won, and the galaxy would never be the same. High Arbiter Ven had never felt fear before. He had ruled the Galaxy Council for 300 years. He had crushed rebellions. He had ended wars. He had made entire species bow before him. But as his shuttle approached the Iron Will, his hands were shaking. The human flagship was scarred from battle. Burn marks covered its hull. Sections were still being repaired, but it was still flying. It was still fighting. It was still dangerous. Docking permission granted, a human voice said over the radio. Welcome to the Iron Will, High Arbiter. Admiral Taikwu is waiting for you. The shuttle landed in the hangar bay. When Ven stepped out, he was surrounded by human soldiers. They did not bow. They did not show respect. They simply stared at him with cold, hard eyes. This way, one of them said. They walked through the ship in silence. Ven had been on warships before, but never one like this. Every wall was covered with memorials. Photographs of dead soldiers, names carved into metal, flowers left at small shrines. The humans did not forget their dead. They carried them everywhere. The bridge was at the heart of the ship. When Ven entered, he saw Admiral Taikwu standing at the center, hands clasped behind his back. Captain Hannah Seok stood beside him. On a holographic display, General Day Yun watched from Earth. High Arbiter Ven, Taikwu said. His voice was calm. Thank you for coming. Ven straightened his spine. He had to maintain some dignity. I have come to discuss peace. The Council is prepared to offer generous terms. I am listening. Full recognition of human territorial claims. Reparations for the Vorn attacks. A permanent seat on the Galaxy Council itself. Ven paused, trying to sound strong. In exchange, you will agree to a ceasefire and submit to Council weapons limitations. Oh. The bridge was silent. No one moved. No one spoke. Taikwu walked slowly toward the viewport. Outside, the wreckage of the battle still floated in space. Pieces of ships, bodies, the remains of a war that should never have happened. High Arbiter, he said, when the Vorn burned our colony on New Sol, 12 million people died. Children sleeping in their beds, families eating dinner, people who had never seen an alien in their entire lives. They were innocent. They were defenseless. And they were murdered. Ven shifted uncomfortably. That was the Vorn's action. The Council did not order that attack. No, you just watched it happen. You received our calls for help. You heard our screams. And you did nothing. Taikwu turned to face him. Then, when we decided to defend ourselves, you ordered us to stop. You sent 600 ships to force us to accept what the Vorn had done. You told us that fighting was against your laws. He stepped closer. His eyes were hard. Your laws, not ours. Ven took a step back. The Council maintains peace in the galaxy. Without our rules, there would be chaos. There is already chaos, Arbiter. You just chose not to see it. The Vorn have been raiding smaller species for centuries. You looked the other way because it was easier. You let monsters live because punishing them would be difficult. General Dayun spoke from the holographic display. We are not here to negotiate a ceasefire, High Arbiter. We are here to accept your unconditional surrender. Ven's face went pale. That is impossible. The Council will never agree to that. Then the war continues. Captain Hannah Seok crossed her arms. We have 4,000 ships in reserve. Our shipyards produce 50 more every month. How many ships do you have left? Ven said nothing. He knew the numbers. The Council fleet was broken. It would take decades to rebuild. The Vorn Collective will be dissolved, Daeyun continued. Every leader who ordered or participated in the attack on New Sol will face human justice. War criminals will be tried and punished. The Council will pay reparations for every human life lost, in resources, in territory, and in blood. You cannot, Ven started. You can. Taik Wu cut him off. And we will. You made a mistake, Arbiter. You thought we were like the other species you have bullied for 3,000 years? You thought we would be afraid of your numbers and your threats. You thought wrong? He walked back to the center of the bridge. Humans do not surrender. We do not forgive. We do not forget. When someone hurts us, we hurt them back. When someone threatens our families, we destroy them. This is who we are. This is who we have always been. Ven looked around the bridge. Every human was staring at him. Soldiers, officers, engineers, they all had the same look in their eyes. The look of predators who had finally caught their prey. What do you want from us? He asked, his voice barely a whisper. What we have always wanted, Taik Wu said. Justice. For the 12 million on New Sol, for the 30,000 who died in the Kepler expanse, for every human who gave their life to protect our people. He nodded to Hannah Seok. She stepped forward, a small smile on her face. It was not a friendly smile. It was the smile of a wolf looking at a wounded deer. You told us to stop fighting, she said. You said we had gone far enough. You thought this was the end? She leaned closer. Her eyes locked on Ven's. We are just getting warmed up. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Ven left the Iron Will an hour later. He agreed to every demand. The Vorn Collective was dissolved within a month. Warlord Rax was tried on Earth and executed for crimes against humanity. The Galaxy Council was restructured, with humans holding 3 seats. More than any other species, Admiral Taik Wu retired to New Sol, where a memorial now stood for the 12 million who died. He visited it every morning at sunrise. He never forgot their names. Captain Hannah Seok was promoted to Admiral. She took command of the Iron Will and led the newly formed Galactic Defense Force. Under her leadership, no species dared to threaten humanity again. Dr. Nari Sung received the United Earth Medal of Honor for her weapons research. She refused all interviews and returned quietly to her laboratory. She was already working on the next generation of weapons. Just in case, General Daeyun served as humanity's representative to the Galaxy Council. He spoke rarely, but when he did, everyone listened. No one forgot his speech before the United Nations. No one forgot the fire in his eyes. And across the galaxy, species whispered a new truth. It spread from world to world, from ship to ship, until everyone knew it. Do not threaten the humans. Do not attack their homes. Do not test their patience. Because humans do not fight to survive. They do not fight for resources or territory. They fight because it is in their blood. They fight because they cannot stop. They fight because 10,000 years of war have made them into something the galaxy has never seen before. They fight until they win. And they always win. Lieutenant Binho's name was carved into the memorial on New Sol. It was placed next to the names of the 12 million who died in the first attack. His family received a letter from Admiral Taik Wu, written by hand. Your son was the bravest man I ever knew, it said. He saved us all. We will never forget him. His mother kept the letter in a frame beside his photograph. Every morning, she lit a candle and said a prayer. The war was over. Humanity had won, but they had not forgotten the price of victory. They never would. And somewhere in the darkness of space, the Iron Will flew on. Ready for the next battle? Ready for the next threat? Ready for whatever the galaxy threw at them. Because humans do not rest. They do not give up. And they are always, always ready for war.